Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. It is your regularly scheduled Wave 2 of a TCG exclusive archetype support video. As you know, I'm a TCG exclusive archetype lover, and the RB deck is a machine deck. You know, the certified machine lover here. I have been really enjoying this archetype, even through Wave 1 when it was like terrible. Now, I want to discuss this archetype from a less objective lens because I am somebody who has played the RB cards, and I want to discuss that because I don't see a lot of discussion about this deck, actually. People will say that this deck is like worse than Rogue, which I kind of find ridiculous. The cards aren't great. It's not like this is going to be the next Mitsurugi or anything, but certainly they are not bad, and Wave 2 has made this deck much better, and I want to discuss why that is, and I think the best way to do that is simply to do a deck profile. First and foremost, we need to start with non-RB cards. One thing with this deck is the RB deck does not have its own archetypal normal summon. You need to fill out spots in this deck with some sort of additional normal summons that get you to 2 machines, which is Valken Booster, which gets you Stage Landing or Funk Dock, which is full combo. So let me explain Division. All right. Basically what this does is you normal summon it, activate its effect, and then you'll tribute it, and you get 2 machine tokens. The reason I am choosing this card over the litany of other cards that you could play, I'm also including Scrap Recycler in this as well, is because I want to play a bunch of machines that are applicable link material for Clockwork Knight, right? I think Clockwork Knight is a very strong card in this archetype, and not only can this link summon be a material for Clockwork Knight, it can also be summoned by Clockwork Knight. So you can do some cool stuff if you open both Recycler and Division. You can go Recycler, send Jet Synchron, activate Jet Synchron in grave, pitch Division. So you can like summon this. This will go to the grave. You can link the Jet Synchron off for Clockwork Knight. You can Clockwork Knight tribute the Recycler, bring out Division, tribute Division, get 2 tokens. And you can do that at any point throughout the game too. So once Division is in the graveyard, if you're activating Clockwork Knight, you're getting a ton of material. It also doesn't turn on Izuna, right? That's the other thing, is that Scrap Recycler and Jet Synchron can turn on Izuna, but this is a really nice card because it plays very well into Fua, better than a lot of other ones. It doesn't like summon from deck or anything like that. It doesn't activate in hand or grave, and it fulfills the Clockwork Knight condition. So that's kind of like a checklist of things that this card fulfills, which is why I think it's a really good card for the deck. There's a lot of other stuff you could experiment with though, right? There's the Machina engine you could play. There's like Cyanos and Rose if you're playing striker cards. Like I'm already playing striker cards in this list, so you could play the Cyanos and Rose package. It's just that is really bad into Fua in my opinion. You could try the Terratop Tectumborg. I just have really been frustrated by those because I don't like drawing the Tectumborg. Moving on to the actual RB cards. So we have a Driller, a Cutter, a Pile Bunker. This card is awesome, by the way, and I'll discuss why I think this card is so good for the deck. And a Lambda Blade, another really good inclusion. So Lambda Blade, whenever this one's summoned, it dumps an RB card from your deck to the grave, which is super important, but it's also an interaction. So during your opponent's main phase, this can destroy itself, and if it does, you steal an opponent's monster. This is something that helps this deck a lot because it's additional ceiling, right? Prior to Wave 2, the only interactions you had were Driller and Cutter. Now, when these pop themselves for their effect, you summon Lambda Blade from deck, and Lambda Blade is your 3rd interaction off of just the attachments that you have. So really nice. It also finds itself through a lot of the turn 1 combos. And we got to talk about Pile Bunker. So this card is super dope. It's very fun to resolve. This card says, if you control no face-up monsters, or the only face-up monsters you control are RB monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. When an attack is declared involving an opponent's monster and RB the Brute Blues, that points to this card, you can pay 1,500 life points, destroy all cards your opponent controls, and this card, you can only use this effect of Pile Bunker once per turn. This card, for its effect, does not need to destroy itself in order to resolve. Now, what I mean by that is if you have Brute Blues in your EMZ linked to this guy, let's put them like this, Brute Blues declares an attack. You can activate Pile Bunker. You can banish a stage landing from grave to protect the Pile Bunker, and that will keep your RB, the Brute Blues, linked to the Pile Bunker and gaining an additional 1500 attack. This activates on attack declaration, not in the damage step. So when this card board wipes the opponent, the Brute Blues can redeclare. So you have a 3k body that just blew up your opponent's entire board and swings twice. So really cool. I love this effect. It is awesome. It really helps get through sticky boards because this deck is pretty good at breaking boards. It just needed something that was very threatening, and this card is that. So awesome. So these are the only attachments I am playing. All right. I've seen a lot of people, when building this deck, play one of each attachment. So 6 attachments total. I am choosing to play 4 because they are kind of bricky at times. Falcon Rocket can summon itself, so it is, there's a potential that I'm going to put that card back into the deck. The Cannon is a very strong going first card to be able to hand rip your opponent and take out something like a Nibiru or a hand trap. It's just that drawing it feels really bad, and drawing it when going second especially feels even worse. So I've put that in the side deck to spoil that for you. And then we have 3 RB stage landing. This is going to be your main engine piece alongside 3 RB Funk Dock and a 4th RB Funk Dock. These are the main cards you really want to see in every hand. You'll be using this to get the Brute Blues out. Brute Blues will search you. Funk Dock, which will get you another stage landing. You'll activate another stage landing to get the Lambda Blade out. The Lambda Blade will send something. And then you'll link the Lambda Blade and the Brute Blues into Falcon Rocket to continue doing the combo. Funk Dock is the card that has the effect of when an RB monster leaves the field by a card effect, it will trigger to summon another RB from the deck. And then we have 1 Operation Test and 1 Clockwork Knight. One thing I wanted to discuss with this deck is this deck really needed a continuous spell because Clockwork Knight is a very strong card. And with RB now having a searchable continuous spell, you are always going to get to Clockwork Knight in combo. It can reborn a level 3 or higher RB monster from your grave on activation. It also has an effect to bounce RBs back to your hand and summon an RB monster back from the hand. That is a card effect which causes an RB to leave the field. So this on its own will trigger Funk Dock to float if you need it to do so. It doesn't have to remain on the board in order to provide you a beneficial effect. So you can always feel comfortable just linking away something into a Clockwork Knight, sending this to get Clockwork Knight. This card is really good. It's like so strong into the Yummy matchup. It does a ton. It can be very annoying in certain game states to always end on Clockwork Knight for the opponent to deal with that. So I have been a big fan of this. And then the last cards is some traps. So RB Next Phase and RB Last Stand. I play one of each because these cards are pretty good. So this says special summon 1 RB monster from your deck, extra deck, or graveyard with a different name than the cards you control. For the rest of this turn, after this card resolves, you cannot special summon from the extra deck except machine monsters with 1500 or less attack. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets an RB monster you control, you can banish this card from your graveyard and negate that effect. You can only use 1 RB the Last Stand effect per turn and only once that turn. Lambda Blade will dump this card if you already have the necessary engine in hand and you don't need to dump a monster. You can send this and link into your Falcon booster, which protects it from infinite impermanence. And then next phase is the counter trap. It says when your opponent activates a monster effect while you control an RB monster, destroy 1 monster you control, and if you do, negate the activation, and if you do that, destroy that card, then gain 2,000 life points. Next phase is really nice because you can only activate it when you control an RB. However, it doesn't have to destroy an RB. You can destroy any monster. Lambda Blade is a Snatch Steal style card. Next phase can destroy what you stole with Lambda Blade instead of one of the RBs that you control. The trap cards are even better because the new Link monster that this deck got sets a trap card from deck or grave. So I feel that including next phase is very strong because you can set it every turn and have a live monster negate counter trap. So for additional non-engine/engine, I'm playing 3 Engage, 1 Widow Anchor, 1 Hornet Drones. This deck is going to have Engage be live a lot of the time because you are always getting spells engraved because of stage landing. So even if you don't use Engage to start your combo with by getting Hornet Drones, frequently you will activate Engage to search Widow Anchor and it will get you another draw. Then I play 3 Droplet, 2 thrust, 1 talent, 1 called by. This deck is a very, very strong board breaker deck. It's going to be pushing through boards like, I don't know. It's not perfect, I guess, at it because the monsters themselves don't replace themselves, but cards like Stage Landing not being once per turn are super, super good. You know, Engage is good at pushing through boards. Being able to thrust for both Engage and Stage Landing is really strong. Also with Thrust, Last Stand is a thrust target, so you can thrust for Last Stand. And then if you have something like Funk Dock or an additional piece, you can just sit on a piece with Last Stand set, and then you can activate Last Stand to summon something like the new Link 3, Link to the piece. So, pretty good. And the last cards are 3 Ash to beat the Charmies, and 3 Fuwa to be a Charmy. For the extra deck, 3 Valken Booster. This is your Link 2 that requires 2 machines. It's full combo. 2 Brute Blues, which is your main Stage Landing summon, which is full combo. And 2 Shepherd's Crook. So this is the new one. Let's go ahead and read what this does. 2+ monsters, including an RB monster. That's important. Gains 500 attack for each monster you control, except this card. You can only use each of the following effects of RB Shepherd's Crook once per turn. During your main phase, you can set an RB trap from your deck or graveyard. During your opponent's main phase, quick effect, you can target 3 level 3 or higher RB monsters in your graveyard, place 2 on the bottom of the deck in any order, and if you do, special summon the other in defense position. This does something very important, which is recycling names. That was another big issue that I had with RB in Justice Wave 1, is you would run out of pieces very frequently. You're summoning them from deck a lot. They're popping themselves to interact with the opponent. Shepherd's Crook shuffles them back into the deck and resummons them to strengthen your follow-up. You can just summon Lambda Blade, dump 1, and then just sit on this plus Lambda Blade. Lambda Blade will pop itself to steal. You'll summon another one from deck. That one will interact with the opponent. It'll pop itself. Then you'll have Lambda Blade, the card you sent, plus the other card you summoned from deck. You shuffle back the 2 to summon the one that you haven't used yet. That's sort of the idea with this card. And it also sets a trap card. So if you activate Stage Landing and get Fuwood, you can Stage Landing for Shepherd's Crook, summon something like the Saw or Driller, sit under it with Shepherd's Crook, and that gives you some gameplay into Fuwa. If you've drawn the field spell too. So there's like the fact that this card exists makes it so it increases the ceiling because you have additional interactions that you can set when you do full combo, but it also allows you to play with a lower ceiling too. 2 Clockwork Knight, this is like the main combo card of the deck. Its card's like so awesome. It's the main reason why we're playing Division and Scrap Recycler is because being able to summon Clockwork Knight every turn, use its effect to tribute an RB to summon something like Recycler or Division to get more material. And then this card's effect also triggering Funk Dock to allow you to extend even more is just really, really strong. And then I play the Striker Links. I play 1 Kagari, 1 Hayate, 1 Kaina, and 1 Zeke. Zeke doesn't come up very often. It's just if I need to when I have the Striker stuff. And then playing 3 Links makes it so Hornet Drones on its own is full combo, or Engage on its own is full combo, I guess. 1 Barricade Borg just to get a field spell back if I need it. And then Ballista can come up if I have 2 Earth Machines on the board, and I want to pop something to make its attack 0 so my Brute Blues can get for game easier. So, talk about the side deck. Lambda Cannon is the new one that we need to discuss. So Lambda Cannon says, if this card is normal or special summoned, you can target 1 RB monster in your graveyard, except RB Lambda Cannon, add it to your hand. While this card is linked to an RB monster, you can pay 12, destroy this card, and if you do, look at your opponent's hand. Then you can special summon 1 monster from it to their field, but negate its effects. I definitely will be siding it whenever I go first. It just ensures that you're playing through Nibiru. It rips hand traps out of the hand or necessary engine pieces out of the hand. You can see what board breakers your opponent might have to be able to play around them. I just don't like maining it because it sucks to draw going second. The other card in the side deck is Valken Rocket. I mentioned it before, but this card can definitely find its way back into the main deck. I'm just trying siding it now instead and just sticking with the 4 attachments. I think Pile Bunker is a better board breaker. And then 3 Perulia, 3 Regeki, and 3 Dark Hole. So this is kind of striker coded. This deck very much so benefits from board breakers. So I'm trying out just maxing out on normal spell breakers for now, as I'm also playing Feather Duster and Lightning Storm. And then the last 2 is just an anti-spell and a rivalry. Because Draco Tail can be a pretty threatening matchup. And so we want to stop things like Rahu and Ketu if we draw this. And Rivalry is really good. It's good into the Draco Tail matchup, but it's also good to pair with Clockwork Knight. It's kind of that zombie world interaction, if those remember that. Also, should be noted that Rivalry and Lambda Cannon pair very well with one another, because if we use Lambda Cannon to summon a monster to the opponent's board, potentially like an Ash Blossom or a Droll and Lockbird or something like that, we can then set the Rivalry and then lock them into the hand trap that we've summoned to their board. I think the Lightning Storm is going to get cut for a copy of D-Barrier. I think I need a thrust target for going first. That isn't just Last Stand. So I should discuss what you are doing with one Stage Landing. I want to point out that this, these, and these are all copies of Stage Landing, because you can either start with Funk Dock to get Stage Landing or Stage Landing to get Brute Blues to get Funk Dock. Right, it's the same deal. Let's start off with Stage Landing. We will activate Stage Landing. Stage Landing will summon Mr. Blues. Brute Blues will activate its effect to search for Funk Dock. We will activate Funk Dock, which will get us another Stage Landing. Activate Stage Landing to get us Lambda Blade. Lambda Blade will trigger to dump Cutter. And we will link these two into the one, the only Falcon Booster. Falcon Booster will activate to get us Operation Test. We'll go Operation Test effect. Bring back Cutter. Operation Test. Bounce Cutter, summon Cutter. This will trigger Funk Dock. To summon Driller, we'll put Driller over here. We'll go Falcon Booster effect to Reborn. Link this off for Clockwork Knight. Clockwork Knight will activate, sending Operation Test. This, I'm actually going to use Clockwork Knight here. You don't have to do this, but I kind of want the... You really want to end on Lambda Blade and Saw. I think ending on Saw is better than ending on Driller. This would have also triggered Funk Dock as well, so it's not like 100% that you have to do it that way. I'm Link summoning Link 3, which is going to be Shepherd's Crook. Shepherd's Crook will activate to set a trap card, which will be next phase. All right, so here's what we have set up into our opponent. Our counter trap, which is a monster negate. We have a Snatch Steal, Spell and Trap negate, and then when these destroy themselves, this will trigger to summon the Pile Bunker out of the deck, which isn't useful this turn, but it'll be useful on the follow-up next turn. And then this is going to be able to activate to shuffle back this. We'll target these, rather. So the Lambda Blade and the Goten Cutter will go back into the deck. And then Driller will be able to be summoned, which is a pop. That is 4 interactions, plus all of the opponent's monsters are now machines. The big thing about this is that these interactions are layered, right? That's something I really like, is it's not just one card that is all of these interactions. It's multiple cards that are multiple interactions, and your opponent has to have various things to deal with all of them, right? If your opponent droplets the Saw and the Lambda Blade, you can use next phase to pop one of them, and then that can, facilitate another action. It can get, that'll trigger Funk Dock. There's just a lot of, different things that can float into different stuff rather than, one board breaker soloing all of your interactions. You get them out at different times, so your opponent has to have multiple cards to deal with the multiple interactions, That's one thing I like about it. Plus, you have multiple Stage Landings in Grave, so Stage Landing protects your cards from being destroyed. I also think there was a way with the Lambda Blade to be able to send the Last Stand, and then using the Funk Dock to trigger, or triggering the Funk Dock somehow to float into a different piece. So maybe that's something I will investigate more in the future. That's the combo I thought of for now, for the first one. Now, the other combo I want to discuss is with Lambda Cannon post side. So, with this card in the mix, we're going to start very similarly. We're going to start with Stage Landing. Stage Landing is going to get us our Brute Blues. We're going to go Brute Blues effect to get our Funk Dock. We're going to go Funk Dock for the other Stage Landing. We'll activate the other Stage Landing. This will get us Lambda Cannon. All right. So Lambda Cannon will activate paying 1,200 life points. And this will put a token on the opponent's board. We'll just put it here, okay? Or not a token, sorry. It'll take something out of their hand if we choose to do so. Let's just assume it's a Nibiru. And then this will destroy itself. So now that this has destroyed itself, this will trigger Funk Dock. Lambda Blade. Lambda Blade will then activate to dump an RB name. We'll go ahead and do the Driller. This is under the assumption that we want to pop what we have summoned, by the way. If we don't want to pop what we have summoned, or we did not summon something, I would go for Saw here. but we are under the assumption that we want to get that material off the board. So we've summoned Lambda Blade, dumped Driller. So we will link summon into Falcon Booster. Falcon Booster will activate its effect to get Operation Test. We will activate Operation Test. We'll do Driller here. Pretty sure this is how we want to make this happen. So we'll go Driller, link this off for Clockwork Knight. Clockwork Knight will send Operation Test to get Clockwork Knight. Then we're going to go Falcon Booster effect to reborn the Lambda Cannon and move it. Lambda Cannon will now trigger to add a piece back from the grave to the hand, which will be the Driller, because we have not special summoned this card with its own effect yet. We'll go ahead and Clockwork Knight and Falcon Booster into Shepherd's Crook. Shepherd's Crook will activate to set next phase. Summon the Driller out. The Driller can activate to pop itself and what we gave them. And then we're chilling. Driller to pop itself during the opponent's turn. That will trigger to summon Cutter. Cutter will pop itself to negate something. We'll then use Shepherd's Crook to put 1, 2, 3 back, which will then summon the Lambda Blade. We still have Lambda Blade and the next phase pop, and we still have Clockwork Knight. So we've hand ripped them for 1, we know their whole hand, and we still have 4 interactions. That's the going first combo, which I think is quite strong. So that's my evaluation of the RB cards with Wave 2 of support. Now, these are just some initial combos, some side decking ideas, some deck building theories you can put into place. I know Division is a kind of a strange card, but I find it to be pretty good. I like that you can Clockwork Knight it if they use something that removes it. If you have a way to keep extending, you can Clockwork Knight it back out later and then use this effect to tribute and still get tokens. There's just a lot of cool stuff that this deck can do, and I think it's not being explored as much as I would like to have seen. I think it's very thought-terminating, the discussion I've seen around this deck. So I don't know. I'm going to play at this format. I see a lot of promise in it. I see lines through Nibiru. I see lines that are good into Fuelos. Yeah, so wish me luck. If you decide to play this deck, I wish you luck as well. And I'll see you in the next one.